You're listening to the Mindset Advantage podcast with Elliott Rowe and Dr. Tricia Gardner.
So welcome to the Mindset Advantage podcast with Dr. Tricia Gardner and me, Elliott Rowe. So Tricia, what do you have for us this week?
Hey, I read a really interesting study, which is on a way that you can boost your brain power. It's really hard to get that out. Boost your brain power with the right type of socializing. And the reason I thought this study was kind of interesting is because in poker tournaments, we get those breaks and we often go off onto the rail and we have like little chats. And there was a piece of research that was done that showed that there's a specific type of chatting that boost brain power. And that is a social friendly chat versus a competitive chat. So if you're going to take a break and you want to talk just a friendly social talk, not a competitive conversation. A competitive conversation is not going to provide you with any cognitive benefit. Whereas if you have the friendly social one, it increases executive function, which is going to end up helping you pay more attention, focus better, and that sort of thing.
But as you'll be surrounded by poker players, the chances of you having a non-competitive social chat may not be the easiest. So good luck, all you guys at the live tournaments.
Well, I think that is an excellent point. But you could steer the conversation away from competitive topics, right?
That's very true. That's very true. Use your win friends and influence people by Dale Carnegie.
Exactly.
And we've got a great guest coming on today. We're going to be talking to DFS pro Eric Crain again. So let's give Eric a call. So Eric, thanks for coming on the show. If you could introduce yourself to our listeners.
Hey, Elliott. Hey, Tricia. What's going on? Eric Crain. I've played poker for a living for about 11 years, playing daily fantasy for a living now. And I've been doing that for about a year now for a living. So it's been a good time.
And we wanted to have Eric back on the show for anyone who doesn't know what happened this week. But this weekend, Eric won what's it called? The Millionaire? Was it a Millionaire Maker?
The Millionaire Maker.
The Millionaire Maker for one. Well, he won and also came third and fourth in the DFS Millionaire Maker for $1.3 million. So congratulations.
Yeah, it was about 1.2 in cash and then another 150 in live final seats. So
you're going to run that up as well then?
Well, we hope so. I mean, I don't want to get last like I did last year. That's for sure.
So obviously you've transitioned beautifully from poker over to daily fantasy. So what tips and tricks and strategies do you have for that maybe you can share with our listeners who are thinking they might want to have a chance to win $1.3 million in a weekend?
The biggest piece of advice I can give anybody is don't get cute. I think it's a lot like in poker. You hear everybody kind of out thanking themselves and busting themselves in tournaments and whatnot. And I really feel daily fantasy is a lot of the same, where like if you just avoid getting cute and avoid trying to be a hero, it can be pretty easy after that.
And you also do talk shows as well, don't you, around the subject? Where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm a host on RotoGrinderscom, and I'm on there probably about 5 or 6 times a week, just talking NBA, talking NFL, talking some strategy. Most of the time I lead the show. I'm not necessarily the expert on the panel, so it's been a weird week because I've been sort of on the other side this week. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and it's really made me a much better fantasy player working over there too. I get to talk with smart people all the time, which obviously helps in anything. And that's kind of what's going on over there, RotoGrinders.com. And I really genuinely enjoy it a lot.
So how did you manage to make that transition? What even got you interested in it? And then kind of what did you do to prepare yourself to make a career out of this?
It was one of those things where I was playing a lot anyways, and I was losing. And I said, okay, well, I have 2 choices. Either I have to get good and start winning money, or I just have to quit because it wasn't worth my time or my, being stressed out watching the games or anything if I was just losing money. So I made the decision to really work hard to get good. I made some friends in the DFS community. I really started diving into, what wins and what in various sports. I took some classes on Roto Academy, which is a site through RotoGrinders and this was before I was affiliated with them. And, I just kind of really dove in. And that's sort of what, it's just like poker. I think you guys had a quote on your show, this maybe a year ago. I mean, this was a long time ago, but it was, if you put in amateur work, you're going to get amateur results. And it's very much the same thing in fantasy.
And do you think the fact it's sports, catches a lot of people out? Because, I mean, every bar you go into, there's a guy telling you that he knows everything about football. Do you think that's actually a difficulty for people when they go into DFS thinking, well, I already know everything?
Yeah, it's, there are two things that people think they're great at no matter what. They think they're great at sports and they think they're great at sex. So that's kind of how it works. So like I said, I was the same way. I said, okay, well, I know everything about sports. I watch SportsCenter 500 hours a week. I'm going to be great at this, yada, yada, yada. Oh, crap, I'm losing. Okay, I better figure out what's going on. And basically, it wasn't until I kind of reset the way I thought about sports and I took a step back and say, okay, I can be a fan here and I can still root for stuff. But now let's try and figure out a way to be smarter about it. And that's sort of what I did. I basically retaught myself the way I thought about basically every different sport.
So for someone who maybe doesn't watch a lot of sports, but they think, hey, I want to do this, do you think they can learn what they need to learn in a reasonable amount of time to get started with the daily fantasy?
Yeah, I think it's, a lot of the same qualities that people who are really good poker players and work really hard, a lot of the same qualities that make those guys good at poker kind of are going to make them good at fantasy too if they want to learn. It's just about putting in the work. It's trying out different strategies. It's figuring out what's going to win for you because there's no one strategy that's going to work for everybody. But if, for me, I tend to be more of a tournament guy rather than just the 50-50s. I tend to be a little bit more aggressive with my picks than a lot of guys, and other people are more conservative. That's just my style. That was my style in poker too. So yeah, I mean, it's just, can you learn it in a reasonable amount of time? Yeah, sure. But I mean, it's a steep learning curve. But I think once you sort of get over that hump and everything starts to click, everything will start to click very quickly.
Very interesting.
And I think there's a lot of potential here for poker players, isn't there? Because that crossover is something that I think from what I've seen from poker players who've moved across, it does seem to be a pretty natural progression.
Yeah, it's definitely a correlation between the people are successful in poker. They sit around, they're studying charts, they're studying, what different plays work in tournaments and cash games, et cetera, et cetera. And it's no different in fantasy. It's just taking the information that's available and making the best decision. In the end, you're going to get the money.
So now that you've had a big win, are you going to be taking some time off, or is that not in the cards right now?
It's weird. I won $1 million on Sunday, and then I had a show Monday at 3:30, and I wasn't calling into that show. I'm somebody who, this is what I do. This is my job. I'm not going to just stop doing my job. I wouldn't be very good at my job if I quit doing it after a big win, because that's just not how I'm wired. I got right back to work one day, and I was playing the NBA slate. I was playing the $4 buy-ins for NBA. Nothing changed. Nothing changed for me there. Tonight's actually the first day I've taken off since the win, and I'm going to take off tonight, and I'm probably going to take off tomorrow too. And Sunday I'll be right back at it, studying all my football stuff. And Sunday morning I'll wake up at 7:00 like I do on Sundays. I'll do my 9:30 a.m. show, and I'll have my money in place Sunday by Sunday afternoon. It's just that's just how I am. I'll wait till after the season. After the season, the wife and I will go on a nice trip somewhere. But until then, no, I'm still in work mode.
Oh, man. And if we can just talk a bit about Sunday. So to give people a bit of background, I'd seen on Twitter where Eric was placed, and we were chatting back and forth a little bit. And then Joey Ingram runs a podcast for Roto Grinders as well, and he actually had you on a live sweat. So I ended up not watching a movie with my wife and instead watching a live sweat with you.
I mean, 3 hours of this face. I can't understand how you choose a movie over that.
And I mean, if you want to talk through that experience, because I mean, in reality, it wasn't looking that likely at the beginning you were going to hold on to the $1 million place, was it?
No, I sort of thought I was fading 21.2 points from Ezekiel Elliott, which is basically if he gets 100 yards and a touchdown and catches a few balls, I'm dead. Well, he had 9.5 points in the first quarter, and it was a great matchup for him. And I was like, okay, this is not going to go well. And then it kind of looked like, okay, well, that drive is done. Okay, he didn't score here. Oh, he probably should have scored here, but he didn't, yada, yada. And then there was at one point in the fourth quarter where he had a 75-yard run, and I was like, okay, I'm done. Well, that was called back due to penalty, and that was awfully nice. And then I'm sitting here thinking, okay, let's just finish this game. I might be able to hold on. Well, then it goes to overtime. And once overtime started, I was still in first, second, and third place. And then Ezekiel, the Cowboys got the ball. Elliott runs for 15 yards. Okay, well, there goes third place. Now, there's another run. There goes second place. And I'm just begging, please hold on. Please, let's just please hold on. Don't score a touchdown. That's all I need. Anyways, the Cowboys get inside the 2-yard line, which is where Zeke should be scoring from every time. And they decide to use Elliott as a decoy, and they run him out wide, and they pass to Jason Witten. And I had a buddy send me an email today. He said, that was Jason Witten's first touchdown from inside the 10-yard line since week 1 of 2015. So it's been 24 games since that exact scenario had happened and ended up like that. So that worked out pretty well for me.
Man,
I'll say.
It was just incredible to watch it all playing out, and then you're telling your wife the good news that you were taking her to IHOP for a treat because you'd won the $1 million.
Yeah, I told her, girl, I'm gonna get you some pancakes. I know how to take care of you.
Around my household, we have a saying: where there's cake, there's Cardner. So I don't think that IHOP is such a bad idea.
Yeah, well, we didn't think so either, but they were closed. They're not a 24-hour IHOP.
What?
Yeah, so we ended up at Denny's. It was, boy, I mean, you talk about going from a high to a low. We pull in and I'm just, in my mind, I'm joking around. I can buy this IHOP, which obviously I can't. But yeah, I mean, it was crazy. And we went to Denny's, and then we get home, and she goes, "Hey, can you take out the trash?" And I go, "Okay, we're back to regular life."
That was it. That was it.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was the rush.
I know. You know what? I think it's good, though, for people to kind of hear this, because I think a lot of us fantasize about making a big win. But the reality is, even if you win a pretty substantial amount of money, it's oftentimes not such a thing that you can just quit your day job, whatever that job may be, and just, go off into the sunset.
Yeah, I mean, to get quitting money, you really need to have
right.
$1 million's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but that's not quit your job money. But it's relaxation money. There are some aspects that I didn't particularly enjoy too much, and I'm kind of cutting back on. And now I can kind of pick and choose what I want to do, and I can still, I'll have a lot of money in play every Sunday, and I'll just keep on that grind. And it's something I really enjoy doing, which helps out a lot.
Yeah, but you're also practicing bankroll management, it sounds like. So it's not like you're just going to get out of a different level of betting or the tournaments or whatever the case may be.
No, I mean, I'm not going to go and play like they have a $5,000 buy-in every week. I'm not going to do that. Like, you make money in fantasy much like in poker by playing against idiots. And a lot of people, guess what? People aren't ponying up 5,000 who are idiots.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So, I mean, that's, I'll probably bump up my cash games, my 50-50s. I'll probably play a little bit higher stakes in those. But by and large, I mean, I was already playing the volume of tournaments that I wanted to play.
So no need to change that, right?
No, I mean, I'm normally I was having about 25,000 a week in play, and I'm probably going to bump that up to 50. But most of the moving up is going to be in cash games and 50-50s and lower variance stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, in terms of work rate, does that change much, or is it just higher stakes rather than more games?
No, it's kind of it's kind of fun because I've always kind of introduced this. It's like being able to do this in fantasy. Imagine if Phil Ivey, could play every $1 tournament on the internet. He would crush it, right? Mm-hmm. Well, in fantasy, you can build one lineup in cash games that you think is optimal, and you can enter them in every tournament from $1 to $1,000. So you're actually getting to play. You're actually getting to do the exact same amount of research, only you get more money in play because you can play literally every stake you want. It's pretty crazy.
That's pretty neat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, it won't be any more work for me. Normally on an NFL slate, I'll put in anywhere from 20, 30, 40 hours a week, just in research. And that's before I build a single lineup. And then, I usually don't build a lineup until Sunday morning. So Sunday I'll do my 9:30 show, and I'll have another hour and a half to build on my lineups. And by then I kind of know where I'm going to go. It's just a matter of, clicking the buttons and getting everything in. And it's very hectic for that last hour and a half. But I've got my process down, so I don't want to mess with my process at all.
And you've only been doing this for about a year? Is that what you said at the top of the show?
I've been doing it for about 3 years. I've been doing it successfully for about a year.
That's amazing. Yeah. It sounds like you already have like a system and a workflow, and you know what variables to consider. And it just sounds like you have a whole theory, a system, everything together.
Yeah, it's been really nice, especially working at RotoGrinders, is just because I have access to a lot of people who are way smarter than me. And one of my better life skills, I think, is learning who to listen to and who to trust. And so, there are people at RotoGrinders who I do work with. The show on Sunday mornings that we do at 9:30 with Tony Niehaus and Mike Petta is one of the best shows in the industry, I think. And those guys are so much smarter than I am. So I just kind of, I listen to their show. I listen to the show that I'm on. I have a Wednesday evening show with Evan Silva and Rich Rebar, and those guys are both geniuses. So I listen to those guys. And I just kind of take all this information that I learned throughout the week and put it into action on Sunday morning.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's some good value coaching you're getting there for free in the show, isn't it?
Exactly. And I get paid for it. It's amazing.
Well, you really are living the dream.
And Andy, when it came to Sunday night, I mean, you had a pretty good poker face. And what I'll do is there's actually a highlight video of where you can see Eric winning this, and I'll stick that in the podcast details so you guys know what we're talking about. But your game face looked pretty good throughout. I mean, how were you actually feeling on the inside as we were getting, within 5 minutes left and then into overtime? I mean, what was going on?
It was kind of like, it was one of those things where I didn't think I was going to win, so I wasn't allowing myself to get too excited. I knew I could win, but it just it just didn't seem likely. I kept saying, okay, Zeke is going to break a big run. He's going to score a touchdown. All these different things could happen. All of a sudden, come overtime, Jordan Matthews could have scored a touchdown, who is a wide receiver for the Eagles, and that would have lost it for me too. So there are a number of things, and it was very, very just careful excitement. Was I excited? Yes. Was I nervous? A little bit, but I hadn't really given myself the opportunity to believe I could win. And then when it actually happened, I mean, you saw the reaction. It was more being stunned than anything.
And so even at overtime, you're still thinking this isn't going to happen.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was, overtime. I thought, no, it's, if this was meant to be, it wasn't going to be, it wasn't going to happen. Overtime, and then the Cowboys get the ball, and I say, okay, here it goes. They're not stupid enough not just to hand it to him every time, and actually they were that stupid, so that worked out really well for me. Yeah, it was crazy. And then once I had actually won, it was just more being stunned than anything. I mean, we didn't even, like I mentioned, my wife and I went out to eat afterwards, and we're just, it wasn't like a giddy, laughy thing. It was just kind of, what the hell just happened here?
I think it must take a little bit of time to really process that, because it is such a thing that you probably really didn't, think could happen. Yeah,
exactly. And we were actually just sitting right before this interview started. I go, so has it sunk in yet? And she goes, we really haven't done anything different. She's a dog groomer. She's still gone to work every day. She was up at 7:30 a.m. the day after I won, grooming dogs. And my day-to-day hasn't changed either. I think maybe once stuff slows down around here, it'll really start to set in. But until then, it's just kind of like, okay. And Elliot, you know me pretty well. Like my lifestyle isn't going to change. I live a pretty cheap lifestyle anyway.
Yeah. Everything will be the same, except it'll be more relaxed. You get holidays and things, and you'll be able to have even more fun with DFS now, won't you?
Yeah, at least hopefully. I hope I don't go on a losing streak playing $50K a week. That could get expensive. But it's like you said, it's kind of relaxation money, and I don't have any plans for any big purchases. I mean, it's I've hit a few big scores in my poker life too, and made some big purchases that I regretted later, and I'm not going to make that mistake. I'm still going to rent my house that I live in. I'm still going to watch my TV that I watch and sit at my cheap put together desk that I put out of card tables. So,
you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. You know what? Actually, what you're saying, there's just so much psychology around money, but your head just seems so, firmly like where it should be, because a lot of people, they just get overtaken. And yes, 1.2, 1.3 million is a lot of money, but it can pass through your fingers so quickly.
Well, I know that. It was. I've had a few shots like that in poker where I've had that much money and it didn't end up very well. So yeah, I'd like to think that now I'm a little older and wiser. So we'll see. Maybe it's not the truth, but I'm just sure as hell going to try and make that the case.
Man, and when you're there and that's happening, and we could see Joey was looking more excited than you, I think.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I was just stunned the whole time.
And then you look at your account and they've just credited you with the money instantly? Do you suddenly go from whatever you've got and then suddenly it's 1.3 million?
Well, it's weird because they have all the digits there, but normally there are decimal points after them. Like it's, $1,290.20, not 1,000, $1,200,090. It's almost turned into decimal points, which is a very strange thing to see, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, we're all living vicariously through you right now, I think.
Yeah, it's still very surreal. It's very bizarre. I'm used to doing these shows with these smart people, and they're kind of wanting to talk about me. I'm like, I do these shows because I get smarter by listening to you guys. It's let's just what do you think? I don't need to know what I think. Let's just talk about what you think. I like listening to smart people.
And sorry, Karen.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just we both go on, ladies first.
We're so excited to talk to Eric. We're fighting over.
Well, I did a podcast like this about a year ago too with you guys, right after I won the live final seats over there. It's a year later. I haven't screwed it up. It's kind of fun.
But what I was going to ask you is, in poker, a lot of times to win a 7-figure score, it's like a dramatic grind. We just finished off the World Series main event, and that's a major grind. So was it easier in that sense to win this money than the work you have to put into like the tournament grinds?
Oh yeah, because one of the things that I think just from a personal standpoint that makes fantasy better for me is that the decisions are made very early. There's no like kind of late game tilt that goes on, where in poker, you get down to that 8 people left in the tournament, in a tournament, 7 people left in the tournament. You can really kind of stress yourself out and make some really poor decisions because that's a really tough position to be in. Last night not last night, but Sunday, it was out of my control. I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, my decisions were made at noon this morning, and if it works out, great, and if not, there's nothing I can do about it now. So there's no late game tilt, which for me, who is somebody who was really bad about late game tilt, it worked. It ended up working out. That's one of the reasons, like I said, it's such a better career for me than poker was, just because, in poker, you need to get those top 3 spots to really make a lot of money. And DFS is no different. DFS, if anything, it's more top heavy than poker is. First place was $1 million, second place was 150,000. So, wow. It's an 850,000 drop off from first to second.
And the size of the tournaments as well. Because to put this into perspective for people, this isn't like winning the Sunday Million. How many runners? Was it 250,000 runners in this?
I think it was 229,000 people in the tournament.
So you were 1, 3, and 4 out of over
12.
And 12. Sorry, I don't want to miss 12 out. Out of over 200,000 people. It is really exceptional, is it? When you think of the scale of that. So the Sunday Million, what are they getting? 4,000 runners or something like that?
Are they only getting 4,000? When I quit poker the last time I played, it was about 9,000 to 10,000.
Okay, well, it's probably me making a mistake. I know. There's a lot more when it's a scoop and a W coup, but this is 200,000 people, and obviously you also did well in the lower tournaments, didn't you, this weekend?
Yeah, I won the $3 one as well, which was 50,000 for first, and then I won I got 5th and 6th in that one. I won 5 live final seats, one in a $9 buy-in, one in a $4 buy-in. Then I also won 3 other live final seats for a smaller live final, where it's like the top 150 play an online final, and then the top 50 from the online final go to the live final in Nassau at Atlantis in the Bahamas. So I won 3 seats in that one. It was all $20 or cheaper to get in those tournaments.
And I think I heard on the show one of those other ones had nearly 500,000 runners in it, didn't it?
Was it really that many?
I think it was over 400,000.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of
I think it was for the $3 buy-in.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't here. Hold on. Now I'm pulling it up. I'm curious. I'm curious now that you say that. It's just been such a bizarre few. It's just been a very weird week where I'm just like, I've beat this many people, and it's a lot of fun, but it's not one of those things you ever actually. It's like winning the Sunday Million, where you never actually think it's possible, and then you win it, and you're like, wait a second, that's not right. That can't be what happened. And then it turns out that you actually did win, and it's crazy. It really is.
So now, is it such a thing that you offer or will consider offering fantasy coaching, as many poker players do in the poker world?
I did. I was actually doing fantasy coaching for a while, and I didn't particularly enjoy it that much. I don't. It's weird when you talk about it, because like when I talk out loud about it, I sort of feel very fraudish. So I'm just like, oh, but I might not. If this doesn't work, there's obviously variance involved. So I feel very guilty if so and so. If I coach somebody, well, I didn't win, and I'm like, oh no. Do they feel like they didn't get the value out of it? Yada yada. And I don't know what it is, but I didn't like it wasn't that I didn't like helping people. It was that I was afraid I was giving them bad advice.
So Eric, what do we need to do to be fantasy professionals?
I think the number one thing is you really got to kind of dedicate yourself to it. And it's a lot of work, but you got to be smart about it. Listen to people who are proven winners. Listen to people who kind of speak to you. I think that's a big thing. There's a lot of information out there in fantasy. You can go to, dozens of sites that are going to have, some of them are going to have winning players, some are going to have losing players, some are going to have both. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. So I think one of the most important things you could do is kind of find an expert in the industry that really speaks your language, and that the way they're describing winning at fantasy sports makes sense for you. I always say there's a guy, J.M. Tolling, who I started reading his content, and for whatever reason, everything kind of clicked with me when I was reading his stuff. And I know, and I also know other people who say, I don't get it and I don't like it what he reads or how he writes. So, it's just kind of a thing where you got to figure out what works for you. And from there, check out some Roto Academy stuff, check out, some different podcasts, check out winning lineups and kind of what goes into those winning lineups, and really kind of dissect those lineups and say, okay, what did they do that I either didn't do or was incapable of doing, and how do I fix that? It's just kind of, you got to be honest with yourself. I think that's a big thing, just like in any business like this, poker's the same way. If you're not honest with yourself, you're going to be screwed from the get-go anyway. So check that out. Be honest with yourself. Really go out of your way to learn, Elliott. And I know you're big into MMA and soccer. We got fantasy MMA and soccer. We can get you in there.
Yeah. Perhaps, sorry guys, no more mindset coaching. I'm going to be an MMA DFS pro.
That's a lot of letters, Elliott.
Yeah.
Is it helpful to have a statistics background? Do you need to know statistics, understand statistics to be good at this?
I mean, is it helpful? Sure. Do I have one? No. So, I'm not, I understand now kind of like the poker world is very much a lot of charts and and that was never really kind of my thing. I was just like, don't do anything stupid. And I don't think it's necessary. Like for me, I do look at a lot of spreadsheets now, but it's not anything I knew how to do a year ago. It's just kind of something that as I was researching, I sort of taught myself. So, baseball, for instance, I think baseball, you need to have some spreadsheet knowledge. You need to know how to look at fan graphs, how to look at different statistics, and really know how to decipher that information. Football is more about matchups. Basketball is more about some, good computer models. There are just a number of different ways you can go to be successful. There are a lot of people who kind of have like an accounting statistic background who are successful, but I don't think it's necessary.
Interesting. My mother is a huge basketball fan, so I'm feeling that we should get her out of her retirement and into fantasy.
That's It sounds like a plan to me.
I mean, she watches all the games. She knows.
Well, that means she can't
everything.
lose.
Exactly,
she can't lose
right?
if she watches all the games.
Yeah, I like this.
Yeah.
This is a way to supplement that old Social Security check.
See, that's where all that money came from, Eric. It was all from Social Security checks.
It's fun though, because you mentioned your mom doing it. My mom's actually starting to get into it too. Like she'll be messaging me on Sunday, hey, should I play this guy or that guy? And she'll get excited, or we'll be like at a little barbecue we were at a couple weeks ago, and she's just messaging me, or she's handing me her phone. Look what this guy's doing. Look what that guy's doing. And she's pumped. Yeah, it's crazy how much people just love it once they try it.
I mean, it's so cute because anybody can do it. So, there's no age restriction. Well, I suppose at the lower end, but, at the upper end, as long as your mind is working, right, you can do this.
Yeah, exactly. And for some people, even if their mind isn't working.
Exactly.
Well, man, thank you so much for coming on, Eric. It's always a pleasure to have you come on the show. Especially, you're obviously so modest as well. Eric is cleverer than he makes out whenever he's interviewed. So take some of the credit. And what are the websites and things that people can find you on?
You can find me on RotoGrinderscom. I'm there doing shows sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon. The two most popular shows I do there, it's 10 o'clock Eastern on Wednesday nights with Evan Silva and Rich Rebar, or 10:30 in the morning on Sundays with Tony Niehaus and Mike Petta. And those are probably the two most popular shows I do, but I do a number of other shows for Roto Grinders. Basketball, football, we do it all. And yeah, you can find me there.
Awesome. I mean, honestly, I can't say how happy I am for you. So congratulations.
Well, Elliot, I've been bugging you for 4 or 5 years now. So, I mean, it's got to be nice to get me off your call sheet at this point.
You're all good now. You're fixed.
Yeah. And by the way, Elliot, I'm not sure. I gave you some love during the live sweat show. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard. The plug was awesome. So great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm into every word of it.
Well, Matt, as I say, thank you so much, and enjoy Disneyland and IHOP.
We will. That's all I really need in life. I mean, I'm a simple boy. Give me that and the Blues game on TV, and I'm pretty happy.
You're all good. Awesome, man.
Well,
talk to you soon.
We'll have you back when you win another $1 million.
That works for me. Hopefully, it'll be this week.
See you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Cheers, Eric. Bye.
See you guys. Bye.
So, ton of fun again having Eric on the show. I mean, as you guys can probably tell, I get on well with Eric, and I'm just so happy for him to have had quite the weekend. It's not every weekend one of your friends wins $1.3 million.
That is a load of cash, Elliot.
Yeah, it's quite the thing, and he is very modest. He puts an incredible amount of work into DFS, and it's just nice to see. I mean, last year he did great around this time last year, and we had him on. Mm-hmm. But this really is the big one, and then having such huge results in enormous tournaments, it's just really impressive stuff.
I never really thought about DFS that much, even though we'd had him on before. But now that I've seen this result, it kind of piques my interest a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was a $20 buy-in as well.
So crazy! I mean, $20 into $1.3 million. That's crazy.
I think you had 150 lineups though, so they do add up a bit.
Well, this is true, right? So it's $20 times the 150 is what you're saying.
Yeah. So it does add up a little bit more than $20. But hey, $120, you might win it. You never know.
Well, I don't know, because you said that it's like 500,000 people playing these games, so those odds are pretty long.
Huge. Yeah,
if I only have, one lineup is what I'm saying. So
one shot. Okay, well, invest, Trisha. Do the 150.
But no. What I got to do is I got to invest in a good player, right?
That's if you get the percentage, that's the way to do it.
That's the way to do it.
And Trisha, where can people find you?
You can find me on my website, drtrishacardner.com. You can also find my books on Amazon. Peak Poker Performance is now available as an audio in addition to the Kindle and paperback versions.
Awesome. So go check out the new audiobook from Trisha. And you can check out my stuff at pokermindcoach.com. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.
You've been listening to the Mindset Advantage podcast with Elliot Rowe and Dr. Trisha Cardner. To get any resources mentioned in the episode or to listen to past shows, visit pokermindcoach.com/TMA podcast. Thanks for listening.